And so I said, well, it's time for me to get into rental properties. And I quickly found the house wholesaling market. So while teaching, I started house wholesaling. And probably about 2 or 3 years into house wholesaling, I, I had basically retired myself from full time teaching. So I tripled my teacher income and just started consulting as a teacher and went full time into household selling. I did that for about 9 years, 8 or 9 years, had that business. And then I got bit by the land bug. And so I put out some marketing for my first lot. It was an infill lot. And I found the deal. So I actually found a buyer and the deal was done within a matter of days, and I never went out to the property. I thought this was, like, too good to be true because here I am from the house world. I'm like, "Wait a minute. I didn't have to walk the property. I didn't have to go show the property. I didn't have this is too easy. Like, what's the catch?" And I have to tell you, that's when I decided. I said, "Okay, I am never touching another house."
Welcome back, or welcome to the Cash Flow Fight Club podcast, where we bring you the real stories and tactical insights behind financial freedom and life by design.
And today's episode is packed. We're going in the Champions Corner with Kendall Lejeune, entrepreneur and the creative force behind the Only Land Fans land community.
Kendall's journey is anything but ordinary. He started as a high school band director, transitioned into house wholesaling, and then, after flipping just one vacant lot with zero money down, he never looked back. Today, he runs his own land business in a 9,000 plus member Facebook group that's changing how people learn and connect in this space. And in this episode, we dig into how Kendall began his land investing business without ever touching a property, why customer experience and not the highest offer is what wins in today's market, and how AI is quickly reshaping how top investors operate and scale.
If you ever wanted to understand why land deals can be bigger, simpler, and safer than houses, this episode breaks it all down.
And if you're curious about the best kept secret in real estate, land flipping, you've got to check out our Flipping Dirt coaching program where we teach you how to flip land the smart way with simple systems and the best returns in the business. Learn more at flippingdirt.us.
Now let's step into the arena and hear how Kendall went from band class to big land deals.
Kendall Lejeune, thanks for joining us on the Cash Flow Fight Club podcast. We're excited to talk to you today.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah. Super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to chat with you.
Right on. Yeah, well, let's get right in. Usually we start with a bit of background for anybody who doesn't know you or maybe doesn't know as much about you. Quick overview of kind of pre where you are today, and then how you got into real estate and community and all that.
Yeah, so I actually got my professional start as a high school band director. Since I was like 4 years old, I have always been raised around music, and I knew that I wanted to do something in music. And so I got bit by the band bug once I got into middle school, and I was like, from the age, for like when I was sixth grade, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This I have fallen in love. I am. This is my life, and so. I went all throughout school doing that and had an absolute blast. Actually started teaching music as a high school band director, and I realized really quickly that I wanted to supplement my income from a teacher's salary. And so I had always had the model of rental properties. That was, I'd seen my grandfather; he had plenty of rental properties growing up. I just thought that was something that someone did, and so I said, "Well, it's time for me to get into rental properties." And I quickly found the house wholesaling market. So while teaching, I started house wholesaling, and probably about 2 or 3 years into house wholesaling, I had basically retired myself from full time teaching. So I tripled my teacher income and just started consulting as a teacher and went full time into house wholesaling. I did that for about 9 years, 8 or 9 years, had that business. And then I got bit by the land bug. I had a business partner that said, "Hey, have you ever tried flipping lots?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm not interested in that at all. I've got this, we've got this machine rocking and rolling. Like, if it's not broke, right?" So he said, "Listen, just try it. Just try one deal. If you don't like it, you never have to do it again." And so I put out some marketing for my first lot. It was an infill lot. and I found the deal. I actually, I wasn't quite sure if this was something I really wanted to do. So I was very, very cautious. I'll have to tell you that I was cautious in that first deal. So I wanted to make sure that, everything like it was fail safe. So I actually found a buyer. I just started doing some dispo marketing while I was also negotiating the contract. So I
Mm,
found the
mhm.
buyer around the same time that I found that I actually got that property under contract. And I decided, hey, listen, instead of closing on this, why don't I just like do a double close, just close it all together at the same time, no money out of pocket. And the deal was done within a matter of days. And I never went out to the property. I thought this was like too good to be true because here I am from the house world. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't have to walk the property. I didn't have to go show the property. I didn't have, well, this is too easy. Like, what's the catch? And I have to tell you, that's when I decided, I said, okay, I am never touching another house. So that was, I've been in land for about 4 years now, 4 years. And to answer your question about the community piece, when I first got into land investing, I was thinking, okay, I've got to consume as much content as I possibly can. I listened to all the podcasts and found all the videos, much like most
Mhm.
entrepreneurs do, right? Like you find a shiny object and you want to know everything about that shiny object. But there wasn't a podcast that was giving me like the nuts and bolts that I wanted to scale my business. And so I said, I'm just going to go ahead and start one. I want to have, these conversations with seven-figure land investors and I want to hear like what do they
Yeah.
do in their businesses, right? And so I started having those conversations, recorded those conversations, put it out as a podcast. And that podcast quickly grew and I met some incredible people, some of my closest friends are from the land space as a result of being on the show. And we had a ton of people reach out constantly just saying, hey, I want to talk more about this. How can I, continue the conversation? So we started a Facebook group. And 2 years later, that Facebook group is around 9,200 people. The podcast, Only Land Fans, we just broke over 52,000 downloads. And so I'm very, very proud of our land, land fan community for sure.
That's great. I love the journey. It's yeah, we share a lot of similarities and at least I resonate with a lot of the things you were talking about. I mean, the land business, we went right into land and about 10 years ago almost. And yeah, we were also like anytime we reflect on our journey, really the only thing that I think we talk about that we would do differently is we were so cautious when we started. Like we were just very picky about properties and we were talking ourselves out of all these deals and now we look back,
Yeah.
I'm like, I would have taken every deal that came across my desk, as long as it passed some kind of a profit test. Because I mean, there's a buyer for everything out there, and in many cases, it happens so quickly. Yeah, let alone getting a double close on your first deal. That's an even stronger hook to get you in there.
Yeah.
Sure.
I tell you what, I completely hear you. I see so many people, I help a lot of people in the land space do their first deals. And I see that all the
Mhm.
time. People are just afraid of
Yeah,
like, oh, but what if I mess up? The truth is you're gonna mess up. So just embrace it.
yeah.
And sometimes like that can be an incredible learning
Mhm.
opportunity. And I've never seen someone like go bankrupt in their first deal. If they're just being like reasonably smart, you know, you're not going to, the world will keep going. The world will keep spinning. So,
Yeah.
I say embrace the fact that you're probably going to make a mistake because you're a beginner. Give yourself some grace. But I've seen so many mistakes wind up, as great learning opportunities and, profit a few $1,000s worst case scenario. So
Yeah,
Yes.
the beauty of land, and we talk about this too. It's a double-edged sword. It's a beautiful thing, but it can also lead to some bad behaviors. And what I mean by this is like the profit margins in land are so big. Like if you're following the model and you're doing things right, right, you're doubling your money. So you've got a 50% profit in there. Worst case, unless bigger deals, sometimes you sacrifice a bit of margin. But there's so much in there that you can a lot of times make mistakes. And like you said, okay, worst case, you come out with a few $1,000s. It's a few $1,000s on a quick turn deal. We say this all the time when we're on podcasts. We have never, I mean, we've done hundreds of deals in 9 or 10 years. We've never lost money on a deal. And in fact, we just bought a property in December and we missed something in due diligence and we thought we were dead. I was like, oh, here we are. Karma's coming around. We've been saying this too many times that we've never lost
Yeah.
money on a deal.
Yeah.
It worked out. It was in a small community. It was an infill lot like you bought. It had a little easement on it. Somebody was looking for it. Like, there was a local guy who'd had his eye on this property for so long. He knew exactly what he needed to do to make it work for what he wanted to do. And we tripled our money on the deal. It was like it was crazy. So it was one of our better, I think we made 20,000 in profit on that deal alone. And so
Yeah.
it's really a great business model. And to your point, you're typically not investing the same scale that you are on a house or anything like that. And so even you make a mistake, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's not like you're losing tens of thousands of dollars and have a loan on top of that or whatever. And so,
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. When I work with beginners, I am extremely bullish on keeping as much of their money out of the deal as possible, which is why I
hmm,
love wholesaling. I love assignments. I love double closes, especially for beginners. Because if you think about it, if someone is getting a deal, like for example, the deal that I just talked about, my first deal, I had zero money
yeah,
in that deal. I just locked up the contract and then found that end buyer. And so if something would have gone south, I would have lost no money in that deal, right?
yeah,
And
you just
so
don't
if
buy
you
it.
work
Yeah.
right, you just don't buy it. So what is the ROI on something that you don't have money in? If you make 10 grand, it's like it's crazy. It's crazy. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that there are a lot of people that kind of have that like, oh, I need to crawl before I walk mentality. So they focus on really small deals to start. And they're like, "Oh, as long as I make $2,000 or 3,000." I'm like, "No, no, no. We're at, like, minimum in the land space, I think it's really healthy and safe to say, like, if I don't make $10,000 on this deal net profit, then I'm not gonna touch it. There are so many different opportunities out there. And so I like to focus on those deals that you're gonna make at least $10,000 net profit. You don't put any money into the deal to actually buy the deal. So you're just flipping the paper or you're doing a double close. That way it really sort of insulates you from that risk. And those bigger deals, I think that when you have a spread, like I have a couple of students that their second deal out of the gate, they had, I think it was something like $120,000 net profit spread on this deal. No
Wow.
money down, no money in the deal. And there were some mistakes that happened along the way, and they made some errors, and they wound up taking a hit, and it was about a $40,000 hit, but they still walked away with $80,000 because there was room in the deal.
Yeah.
If you make a similar mistake like that and you only have a $5,000 spread to start with, like it kills your deal, right? So I like to say, like, start bigger because the margin is much larger, but you also have so much more room for error, right? And still be able to walk away profitable. So, yeah, I say like go big to start and, be reasonably cautious. But man, if you can keep your money out of the deal and do one of those creative type deal structures, it just insulates you so much from any type of risk.
For sure. I mean, you hear if you're in the investing world enough, you hear this asymmetric return concept going out there, and it's really hard to achieve in a lot of things. But land, you really can mitigate a lot of the downside, and there's very little downside to begin with, typically in a lot of deals. So yeah, I love that concept. Let's rewind just a little bit. Interesting. I guess I didn't know you started your podcast before you started your community, but
Yeah.
similar to our podcast here, I mean, we started ours really largely for selfish reasons as well. We wanted to expose ourselves to different investment types, to different business models, and network with a lot of great people. So I share what you say there. How has been the growth of your? Let's just focus on the community, maybe, because that's a challenging thing, or it can be a lot of times to nurture a community, to keep things going, and to get it to a point to where it is maybe it's not self-sustaining, but it's a lot more sustainable as a community once you get to a certain size and you have a certain level of community members that are engaging and asking each other questions and stuff like that. What have you learned some good lessons along the way, and did your previous experience help you out in that endeavor at all?
Yeah. So I'm really about branding. and making sure that the soul of the brand is in alignment with what you're trying to create. So what I mean by that is when I first started Only Land Fans podcast, it was very educational first.
Mhm.
Like that is at the soul of the brand. And so everything that I do around the Only Land Fans brand is education first. Like it's always just to put out education because I love learning about different business models. I love talking to different entrepreneurs, hearing their mindset, hearing their approach to business. And so that was always the goal. And so with the community, when I started that community, it was with the same thing in mind, is that I just wanted to create a place where people could come and exchange ideas and learn from each other. And so the podcast started probably, it wasn't significantly it wasn't much longer before the community started. So I started the podcast, and then probably within a few weeks, I started the community.
Okay.
That community was just sort of like a meeting ground for different people to come and talk about ideas that we heard on the podcast. And then that turned into, hey, is anyone doing deals like this? And can you help me with this? And so that really became a place where people could go to learn and to swap ideas. And I'm really big about bringing together people that normally wouldn't like cross paths, right? Or let's say, someone that wouldn't normally be in someone's orbit. I like to cross pollinate a lot of different worlds because I think it enriches a lot of different people's experiences, right? So, I love to bring in people who are, maybe on the entitlement side that normally wouldn't ever talk to people or get an opportunity to talk to people that are just doing like a single land flip, a single infill lot deal, maybe once every few months. Because I think that whenever you hear like, oh my gosh, that's possible. Like I didn't even think about that. Like it just explodes your brain. At least it does for me anyway. And I love being able to sort of broaden that perspective of what's possible. And so that's the spirit that I've always tried to instill in the community. And just in terms of growth, in terms of how do I grew the community, it really was just about providing as much value as I possibly could in the community, bringing in as many people as I could that I knew that would create value and share and be open. And you know this, the land space is just filled with amazing people. Very different. It's a different vibe than like houses, for example. Like when I was in the house market, so many investors were just they kept their cards close to their chest and they didn't want to share trade secrets and all this other stuff. With land, it's like, let's do deals together.
Yeah.
Like it's super collaborative. And so I think that that element really helped to grow the community into what it is today.
Nice.
Mhm. I'd love to pick your brain or to ask your opinion on what do you think about competition in the land space? You hear so many people saying that is not as competitive as other assets, and it's not as competitive than other industries. What's your opinion about that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I get that question constantly, especially from beginners who are like, "Oh, I really want to do land, but I hear it's too competitive now. I hear it's oversaturated now. It's no longer a blue ocean." This is what I'll say. Compared to 4 years ago, I definitely think the land space has more people in it. I do think it has become more competitive over time. The more people learn about this, the more people are trying to get involved. And so I do think that it is more competitive today than it was, say, 4 years ago. Now, I'll also keep in perspective that compared to an industry like wholesaling houses, it is nowhere near competitive. So when I was wholesaling houses, we were literally competing with huge investment firms in the same city that were spending, I mean, dozens of thousands of dollars a week on getting deals and acquisitions. And I mean, they had, hundreds of agents working for them, like just to compete with other, you know, um, house wholesalers. And so it was extremely, extremely difficult. Um, that is nowhere close to what the land space is now. So for people that ask me, "Hey, do you think it's too competitive?" This is ultimately what this is what I would say to that, is I think that, yes, it is more competitive than it was 4 years ago. No, it is nowhere close to being as competitive as, let's say, the house wholesaling industry or even single family rentals or fix and flips. I mean, it's nowhere close. But I think the best way to be competitive is through your customer experience journey. That is it. It's not price. I know this from personal experience with my own deals, with my students' deals. Rarely does that owner go with the highest price. They usually always go with who they know, like, and trust the most to be able to deliver on what they said that they would deliver on, right? And so I think that in order to have a competitive edge in a saturated market, do what you say you're going to do, number one. Number two, how can you outperform through a customer experience perspective? So when you say, "I'll call you back in 2 days," call back in 2 days, right? And also, I think that whenever you're in an arbitrage model like land flipping, it's really important to recognize that we get paid because we're providing a service. We're making it easier. There's a level of convenience that they don't have to go and list their house in the market. They don't have to pay closing costs. They don't have to deal with realtors and commissions. That's what they're paying for. That's the service that we're able to provide. And lots of times we have to help with title issues and things like that. And so I think that if we can make that experience like a white glove experience for that seller, not only will they go with you first, but they will tell everyone around to go with you because of the service that you provide. So I definitely think that that is sort of the biggest differentiator when it comes to competing in competitive markets. I mean, I don't know about you, but if you've ever like driven around and seen bandit signs like, "We'll buy your property," or "looking for houses," or whatever, if you call a bandit sign, I would probably bet I would bet 9 times out of 10 that that person, A, will not answer the phone, or B, not call you back, right? Just because you see activity, just because you see a lot of people talking about a market, just because you see a lot of people putting bandit signs and marketing out, it doesn't mean that it's true competition, because the people that actually follow through on what they say they're going to do is so much smaller than the people that are just putting out bandit signs.
Yeah, we've felt it in our, history as well, and it's also one of the first things that we talk about when we either talk to people about land or bring clients on board, because I can't tell you how many deals we have gotten where we talk to somebody and they're like, "You're the first person who's called me back. I get dozens of these letters," or "You're the only
Yep.
person who picked up the phone," or yeah, to your point. I mean, white glove service is amazing. It's great. And if you can achieve that and do that, it's great. You don't even really need that. You just need to do what you said. Commit to something and do it, or be responsive. We also have a list of clients both on the buy side and the sell side that are happy to refer us. Like, you always get, you talk to a seller that's got some apprehension about dealing with just a random person, right? And so, yeah, we have clients where we have wowed them with it's just we make it easy. To your point, it's all about solving problems. In a lot of cases, there are, people have a death, a spouse passes away, and they don't know how to position their property to even get it sold, or title issues, like you said, or things like that. I mean, we try to go that extra mile as well, because we are problem solvers to a degree. At its most basic level, we're solving an immediate need. Somebody wants to get rid of their property because they're tired of paying taxes, or they just don't know how to get out of it, or whatever. They need some cash today, and we're able to close quickly and save some money in the way. But yeah, I mean, it is astounding how many people. Okay, first of all, yes, competition is relative, and in this industry, for the amount of money that you can make on deals, the competition is virtually non-existent. I mean, we bump into people now and again in certain markets, um, but yes, you can very quickly stand out by just having a modicum of professionality and running your business like a business, right? You answer the
Yeah.
phone, you answer people's questions, say you don't know if you don't know sometimes, all the standard things that you do there. I echo all of that.
Yes, and I'm continually blown away about how much there's so much land in US. It's incredible if you think about it. There's so much vacant land in US. And I mean, anybody
Yeah,
who
I
they want to start this business can start it and be very successful.
absolutely, I completely agree. I think I read some statistic that, like, only 30% of vacant land in US has actually been, like, touched by human hands or human feet, something like that. Like, there's so much land, and I'm here in Texas, and so I can tell you there's so much land here. When like, the first 3 years of my business, I only did land in one state, which was here in Texas. And because there's just so much opportunity, so much land here. But I also think that there's so many people that get into this business and they do it because they want money, which of course we all, who doesn't, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. But they, I see very often that their, that's sort of where their vision ends, right? So everything, if you view it from this is literally just sort of a money grab, then everything becomes transactional, right? It's all about the deal, it's all about the money, it's all about the transaction. But I think that's where a lot of people lose their competitive edge because I think that money, yes, is obviously an outcome of this business. It's a byproduct of what we do. But ultimately, this is a people business, right? Like we're dealing with people that have stories and they're humans and they have motivations and drives and fears. And I think that if you don't address those, then I think you're leaving a ton of money on the table. And so just being able to connect with people and again, I'm so big about that customer experience. And by the way, I also believe that we have multiple customer buckets in our business models as land flippers, as land investors. We have the sellers. That's an entire customer bucket that has a journey and that has different systems and processes, and we have to be very aware of what that psychological journey is for that seller. We have buyers. That's another customer bucket. What is their customer experience like? And then we also have a third bucket that they may not necessarily be customers, but these are people that we work with in order to do our business. So these are realtors, these are title agents, escrow officers, anyone that we work with in order to do these deals. That's a third bucket. What's their experience like working with you? And so I think if you get off of the idea like if you are customer journey or client journey experience first and then transaction, things will go so much more smoothly, just so much more smoothly. So, but yeah, and I love the idea of referrals. I think that that's probably the highest compliment. So if you don't have a referral program already in your business, please make sure you let your every customer bucket know that you have a referral program. This is what it looks like, and you love working with repeat customers. So that's a really, really fantastic point you made there.
Yeah. Yeah, we started that early on. We implemented a referral program and a repeat buyer program, right? We'll discount land for repeat buyers. We have one client who bought 5 properties from us. Kind of crazy, but yeah,
I love it.
so that's
If
all
you coming
good.
back,
Well, all right. That's a little bit the current state of land. Maybe staying in that thread. Where do you see the land industry going? You talk to a lot of people and interact and kind of what's your view on where this goes over the next, I don't know, 12, 24 months?
yeah, that's a really good question. So I never speculate. I just
Sure.
don't. I think that in order to have a successful business, you have to be nimble enough to be able to
Okay.
move with the time and to be flexible. And so what I mean by that is let's say, you're marketing in a specific market and things slow down. If that's your only market, either you need to figure out how to go deeper with these buyers and be much more aggressive with your follow-up sequences, or figuring out again how can you stand out in all of the other ways that your competitors are are competing with you, right? Like what's the way that you can stand out from them? But also I think that, we are seeing some trends. I'll say that as well. I talk to seven-figure land flippers every single week on the podcast, and I ask this question to everyone. So I'm not surprised that I got this question today. But the truth is, I think that we see a lot of different people just adding different tools to their Swiss Army knife in the event that something slows down. So, like most people say, I'm going to go hard and fast on the stuff that's working. And the minute that it's not working, I'm going to pull out another tool and I'm going to start going hard and fast on that. And so we're seeing right now, I think we're seeing things pick up a little bit more from, particularly from a sales standpoint. We're seeing people hold on to less inventory for longer, and so it seems like after the start of the year, after the election, people have started to start buying more. So there is a little bit more activity on that. I can speak from my own experience in terms of what my students are really sort of knocking out of the park right now is on rural acreage. These are properties that are, 1 acre or more, and people are just buying that. They're just buying it. So, and lots of I'm also seeing lots of retail buyers over builders, right? So people are starting to sort of come out of the woodwork now and start feeling a little more comfortable in terms of buying. So, um, I also will say that as many people that I talk to, I get different answers from every single person. Like one person will say, "Oh, we are back, baby! Like this is the golden age of land." I just talked to Pace Morby I just had him on the podcast, and he was saying that over the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to see a huge boom in land, and I do agree with him on that. I think that we are going to see much more development opportunity with land. Um, I think we're going to see a lot more people into developments and wanting to do more developments. And then on the other hand, I've talked to people like Clint Turner who are like, listen, my subdivide model was the number one thing that I've had for the past, 5 years. And now he's sort of switching to this distressed property model where he's going after properties that have lots of title issues. They have messy title. Maybe they are deals that have houses with large acreage so they can like split the acreage and he takes the acreage and helps with the house that also has a messy title issue. So, people are starting to just kind of suss different things out. I think we're going to see that. I mean, until the end of time. I think that different people have different tolerances, and I think that being able to be flexible with whatever that tolerance is the key to sustaining your business. So some people are like, "Hey, everything's good, everything's gravy, it's going." The other side of that coin is, "Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. I need to start doing something else." So that's just sort of some of the observations that I've had talking to different people.
Yeah, very interesting. I really appreciate your focus on nimbleness. I think with any business that is key. I worked, I spent my early career, probably 25 years in big tech companies running operations and supply chain. And even large companies, I mean, I'm talking Microsoft and Motorola back in the early days and Nokia when they were king. I mean, if you lose the ability to be a fast or first mover, you're not necessarily going to be dead in the water, but you're really going to have a hard time. Disruptions happen, especially in tech land. Okay, maybe not so much, but we have, since we started, I guess because of my background, we've run our business like a business, and so we put systems in place. We make things as repeatable as possible. um, we've seen ups and downs. We run a pretty plain vanilla business, I would say. And, it only lasts a few months at a time. Typically, there'll be a dip and there'll be a spike. And so we just, as much as we can, try to smooth those things out. We're very resistant to, I call them value add plays, entitlements or subdivides or, anytime. I mean, we just like the basic flips because they're so easy and lucrative, but we keep our eye on it. I mean, if an opportunity comes or we partner with somebody, I'm not opposed to it by any means. But yeah, I think the land industry as an industry is so large and so we do some commercial investing. It's very similar in the way that it's market and sub-market dependent. And so it's very rare. You definitely see the macro cycles when they hit. You have the '08 recession. We're due sometime soon, most likely for another, major market cycle dip. But it's very rare to have that happen across all markets. And so, we personally try to stay deep in a couple markets, but then we're always testing other markets to find one that also resonates. We do the same thing with our clients. We encourage them to, take a trial and error approach. We did not do this when we started our business. We were apprehensive as well about spending money in different markets. What if it didn't work? What are we talking? $500 or $750 if you do a larger scale thing? And okay, that's money, but in the grand scheme of thing, it's not a whole lot. But yeah, staying nimble, and there will be space for all of those in certain markets. I mean, we're just in a growth economy, and so there's going to be development in certain markets. There's going to be renovations and revitalizations in other markets. Yeah, we see rural properties. It's hard to keep them in inventory. They're just really sought after. I think um, for sure since COVID, I think a lot of people have their eyes on second properties or getting out or want to build or something. But yeah, being able to just stay tapped in to what's going on and adjust as it happens, and not just keep sending mailers to Costilla County, Colorado, when all the property values are going up because there's 1,000 land investors that are all also trying to get a property in the same county.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. I think that, the real estate industry as a whole is cyclical. So there will always be ebbs and flows,
Mhm.
right? I think that if you're just looking at it from, the 30,000-foot view, land is the basis of all
Mhm.
real estate. It is the canvas upon which builders build and houses go on and commercial developments go on. So I think there will always be a demand for land as long as there's a demand for any type of building or structure or anything.
Yeah.
So I think, in the long run, that there will always be a demand for land. Now, that demand may ebb and flow depending on what type or what's the use.
Right.
But overall, I think that, with land banking and I mean, I get these emails almost every single day. People are like, where can I put my money in land? I just want to put money. Well, I can show you how to flip. I don't want to flip. I just want to put money in land. So there are people that are just aching to put their
Mhm.
money in land. And I think if you look at that as part of a business model, that I think that's another high demand area. So land is probably one of the most versatile asset classes in the real estate space, in my opinion, because it's the basis of all real estate, right? So those are my 2 cents.
No, I share that view. We also encounter a lot of people who want to invest passively in land, and there's more and more opportunities like that. I mean, land banking is one that we've explored on the podcast here as well. It's an interesting concept. We just had a call with it's been interesting to see over the last 9, 10 years, a lot of these services popping up specific to land. And so there's a lot more funds and private money that will come in and help out with deals on the land side. And it is a lucrative way to passively invest, and a low risk way for all the reasons we talked about early on in
Yeah.
the show. Another future looking topic that I see a lot of potential in is technology. How do you see technology impacting?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we are on we're on the cusp. I think we are in the middle of sort of a tech revolution with AI.
Yeah.
And I think that is only I can't even imagine where things are going to be in 5 years, let alone in 5 months, right? I think that there are going to be advances that completely change the game multiple times over in our lifetime. And so, as far as tech goes, I mean, I think it's a wild west of all of the different things that AI can do. in terms of sort of disrupting different industries. I think every single industry will be touched by AI. There will not be one that is not touched by it, and of course, the land industry as well. As far as using technology, I am in love with using ChatGPT, Claude, all of the AI tools. They are literally using those tools are entrenched in every single SOP across every single one of the businesses that I own, because they just it's like pouring gas on fire, right? It's such a helpful tool if you know how to use it, right? So that's one of the things that I also work with my land investing students on is how can you harness the power of AI in your systems and your processes? Many times I've seen many people say like, I've unfortunately had to lay off like a team of virtual assistants because of what AI can do. And so I think that being able to implement those different technology tools in what you do in order to kind of make your business become superhuman, I think that there are so many opportunities. I mean, I could talk about this for 3 hours, so I won't get too far down the rabbit hole unless you want me to. But I think that um, you know, technology is changing the game, specifically AI. And if you are not on the AI bandwagon yet, you will be left in the dust. Like, get in on it and run with it. Run with it.
I couldn't agree more. I keep on telling Mike sometimes, like we have like 24/7 assistants right now, and it's so effective, and our businesses can be so much more effective. To your point, if we know how to use it, if we know how to tap into it, but it's mind blowing.
It really is. It really is. I actually saw I have a sort of mild obsession with AI and how it affects businesses, but there is a person that I follow who he just released a video. Chris Corner, I think is his name. But he just released this video on Twitter where he used the new Chat GPT agent, the operator model, to build a business for him
Mhm.
that generates $500 a day. And so he started this video and he literally puts in this prompt. And essentially, what he was doing was he instructed ChatGPT to scrape his Facebook marketplace looking for particular pizza ovens that were like very, very low price in comparison to what he could turn around and sell them for. So he was arbitraging these pizza ovens. And so literally what this AI was doing was it was scraping his Facebook marketplace. It was finding those listings that met like 50% to value criteria, and then was putting them on a spreadsheet and then sending messages, making offers and negotiating
Hmm.
with all of these sellers. And then he was turning around and putting those listings, and the AI agent was literally taking the photos, putting them on eBay, making listings, and now that was a business that he was arbitraging, and it was just all done for you, like, in front of you. And I thought that was like, I mean, it's a fun little exercise, but I mean, this is the worst that AI will ever be in terms of like, quality. Just think what it's gonna be like a year from now. It's insane. It's insane. So, yeah, huge fan of those tools because they really can. I mean, like you said, if you use them correctly, they can just change the game.
Yeah, I saw a quote from I can't remember who said this, if not multiple people, but AI is not going to replace your job, but the people who know how to use AI are going to replace your job, right? Because
Yeah,
that's going to be the
yeah,
powerful, and AI is in fact going to replace a lot of jobs most likely. But yes,
yeah,
those who know how to
absolutely.
harness it and use it, yeah, this in my opinion is, we've had however many revolutions in humanity, in a few in our lifetime, even with the internet um, and those kind of things. This is far and away the most substantial and life-changing and profound one. And yeah, this is the one to be in on if you're able to get any sliver of being in it. And yeah, I agree. I think we're not really on the cusp. We're in the tube of the wave. Just
It is the train has left the station,
yeah.
my friend. It is full steam ahead. And, one of my favorite uses of AI, and I'll just kinda throw this out for people that may be listening, and they're like, "Well, how can I possibly use this?" I really like using AI as an ideation tool, right? Like,
Mhm.
it helps me to, like, think and brainstorm things, and so, I have several different, brand consulting clients I've helped build out their brands and their brand stories and their brand, visual packages, and using AI as sort of an ideation tool has literally cut my time from, you know, hours working on a single, you know, project to literally, I mean, it is insane what it will do. Like it has cut my time probably into a third of
Mhm.
what I was doing before, if not smaller. So, yeah, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I can't say enough about it.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point there that leveraging AI to supplement your brain power is it's at least where I appreciate ideation. I mean, you run a podcast. It's great. You can do all kinds of things, and even just the incremental abilities that happen month over month in these podcasting apps, like the editing apps and all those kind of things that they will produce. Title ideas, show notes, Q&A for guests, guest ideas even. But yeah, I like it for those types of things. I really get turned off when people are just blanket using it to create their content and publish it without any touching or editing. The sad thing is it gets traction and it's successful in that way in a lot of ways. And so the feedback loop is to go more and more. And now Elijah and I were talking about this last night. How, already it feels like our AIs are talking to each other. Like if you use LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, you see
Yeah.
posts where it's obviously just a chat GPT copy paste. And then the comments, you can also read some of them that are all just,
Yeah.
ChatGPT. My AI is talking to your AI, and
Yeah, yeah,
well, what
yeah.
are we
No,
gonna do?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can spot that. I think most people can spot that like a mile away,
Yeah.
right? Like you can tell like, okay, that's ChatGPT totally. So I am a big proponent of, the whole 80/20 principle. And I think that applies in every single area of life. And so I think here it applies here beautifully. But I think, if you don't have that 20% of human touch and you infuse your specific soul, your vision, your thumbprint on that piece of content, then I think that it's super, super clear. And it turns me off at least when I see something like that. I'm like, okay, this is AI. And look, don't get me wrong, I love AI, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I think now people want to do business and connect on a human to human level. And so if you're not being a human, I think that you're missing the boat a little bit. So, um, yeah, I can't say enough about it. Maybe we'll have another episode where we'll just do like an AI deep dive where it
Oh,
can like
it's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, even just in the land flipping niche, you have, bots and agents and all these ways that AI is even today being used. But I see we have peers and friends that are coming up with creative solutions and how to streamline and make operations easier and reduce touch points and make the experience better. There's just like you said, it's a wild west. It's wide open right now. So it will be pretty fascinating to watch. And yeah, worth an episode at some point.
yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. You want to wind us down?
Yes, Kendall, we love to end each episode with gratitude. Is anyone that has been instrumental into your journey that you want to shout out to?
Any one or
Oh my
ones. It doesn't have to be
Anyone
one
who
person,
wants? Yeah.
but it shouldn't be a Academy Award long list.
I'd like to thank the Academy for, well, there are look, I am even I would be afraid, I think, to even start the list because there are just so many. I mean, literally every single one of the people that I would consider like on the board of directors for my life
Mhm.
and are just fantastic friends and incredible counsel, have all come from the land space. Every last one of them today are from the land space. But I would like to shout out, first of all, every single guest that has been on my podcast and just been so generous with their information and with their knowledge and with their experience. I think that those people are absolute rock stars. We've had over 100 episodes at this point, and every last one of them, everyone has just been so forthcoming. And so, just gratitude. If I had to just give gratitude, it would be just to everyone in the land space, everyone that is contributing to this community and to the industry that we're in, because it's a really special place. It is a really, really special place. If you don't believe me, go to a RIA and go try to pick someone's brain about apartment syndication or about apartment syndication, maybe. Okay. Yeah, they'll probably be a little bit more open, but go talk to some landlords about how they find their deals. And then you'll have a whole new appreciation for the land space. So, I mean, I know that you asked for one person and I'm going to give you all the people,
Yeah, that's
but
okay, totally.
truly, I mean, I am truly grateful for the people that are in this industry, you guys and people that are making this information possible and allowing, other people to see behind the curtain. I think that that's so incredible. It's powerful. It really is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've been in a while, and we're firm believers in a rising tide lifts all boats. We are open books. We love to share. We love to help clients. We love to help people that aren't our clients. I would say when we started our journey, we kind of got into a pocket of people that had more of a scorched earth approach, and it just really wasn't our
Mm.
tribe. They were very resistant to any cross collaboration, and so we kind of quickly found a different tribe, and it's the majority of people out there. I think that are really a lot more open, and yeah, there's the competition is so low, and there's so much land, and there's so much opportunity that I think we can all thrive. Um,
I totally agree with that. I mean, look, I am always of the abundance mindset is that there is enough to go around for everyone to have as much as they possibly want. And just because you have a win, it doesn't take away from my
yeah.
win, right? It's not a zero sum game. And so I think when you approach things with an abundance mindset, you realize, like, oh my gosh, like everyone can win. Look, I'll be honest with you. I have seen people's lives completely
Mhm.
change from land deal. One land deal can completely change people's life. And these are people that had no idea what real estate investment was 3 months prior to this. And so I really do think that that is, for me at least, that's the thing that drives me the most is like I want people to be able to completely change their lives, like transform their lives. And what that could look like a lot of things for a lot of different people. To some people, I work with a single mom who has a couple of kids and was working multiple jobs and then figured out like, oh, I can make $10,000 a land deal every few months. Like that is life changing for people. And so I just love being able to help contribute to that and just spread that message of like, hey, listen, you don't have to be stuck doing things you hate with people that you don't like and trading your time away from your family because there are other options out there. And I just love that land is a fantastic vehicle to do that.
Yep, love it. Likewise.
Yeah.
Well, one final thought that came into mind. What are you digesting? Any good podcasts or books these days?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I am in love with I read a lot and I also am a big fan of audiobooks.
Mhm.
Honestly, I don't listen to a ton of podcasts, surprisingly. I like to try to keep that as like a, what's the best way to say this? I think I try to it keeps my content more fresh whenever I don't know like what else is going
Yeah.
on, right? So I don't listen to a ton of podcasts, but I do listen to a lot of audiobooks and I read a lot of books. So a few different things that I will preach from now to the end of time. James Clear, Atomic Habits, fantastic book. If you haven't checked out that book, just talks about like those incremental 1% changes or 1 degree changes that you can make slowly and consistently day after day to become the person that has all the things that you want in your life. So that's a really fantastic book. Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time, like that has changed my life. And I send copies to friends here and there all the time. So fantastic books that I would definitely recommend. So
Nice. Yeah, love those. They're classics in our on our bookshelf as well. Love it.
And we
so
definitely
good. So good.
recommend your podcast to the audience. The Only Land Fans podcast is extremely well done, and I always get so much value out of it.
Well, thank you so much. That's so kind. I just really love being able to, like I said, shine a light on different people's business models and see what's going on. I'm actually launching this week. Yeah, this week we're launching a new series and within Only Land Fans called the Launchpad series. And this series is really geared towards beginners that are looking for step-by-step bite-sized bits of information on how to flip land. And so we're going to be launching that series this week. Very excited to get that out. And yeah, it's gonna be great. Super excited about it.
That sounds great. What a great
Amazing.
service. Yeah, that's awesome. Harkens back to your early days of searching for knowledge. So I love
That's
that.
it. That's it. It's really, really fun stuff. I think that because I get the same, I get a lot of questions a lot of times like, hey, how do I do this? Or can you walk me through how to do that? And while I love doing that, I just think that those are questions that, if I have enough people asking, like there are so many more people out there that have not
Yeah.
even asked.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what, let's just put this out. Let's put it out together so that way everyone can learn. So yeah, really excited about that. And then we'll be hosting a lot of that content inside the Facebook group as well.
Full. Well, we've
Yeah.
touched on a few touch points, but for anybody that wants to get in touch and or hear a little bit more, what are the best ways to find you?
Yeah. So if you want to join the Facebook group, you can just go to onlylandfansgroup.com. That we have over 9,200 land fans at this point inside that Facebook group. Lots of active discussion in there. Also, if you just want to see all of the different things, we have in-person meetups, virtual meetups. Actually the full podcast is on there as well. If you want to go to onlylandfans.com, it's there, and you can see all the different ways to get plugged in.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on the show, for sharing some wisdom and some inspiration. And yeah, we had a great time. So all the best to you in 2025. And we'll bump into each other hopefully here in the near future.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Are you going to be out in any of the land conferences coming up?
We haven't booked anything, but definitely it's on our radar to get out to one or a few of them for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. I know that Dave has his unconference coming up in, oh gosh, I think maybe it's in April. Don't quote me on that. Not exactly sure. But then there's also the Supercars event. Drew Haney and Peter Nukasani has a great Supercars event out in Golden, Colorado, where all people come together and
Yeah.
just talk land and then drive some really cool muscle cars. And so that's a really cool event. I'll be hosting a panel there. So yeah, come out if you can. Would love to
Awesome. Yeah,
hang out in person.
Golden's just a short drive up the mountain pass there. So we might be able to make that one. But
Love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
likewise, my friend. Take care.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, you too.
For those of you joining us today, we hope you enjoyed this time in the Champions Corner as much as we did. Got some awesome takeaways, and most importantly, will take action to continue living your best life and maximizing your potential. Mindset is such an important aspect of life, and when coupled with action, delivers undeniably powerful results.
Please subscribe to the podcast to hear from more great guests and get the latest mindset mastery insights and cash flow matchups.
Again, thank you so much for investing your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Cash Flow Fight Club podcast.